doting over some worthless stranger, turning a good man out to face the worst. "Please, child," his calm old nurse replied, "don't blame her. Your mother's blameless this time." He sat and drank his wine till he'd had his fill. Food, he'd lost his hunger. But she asked him, and when it was time to think of turning in, she told the maids to spread a decent bed. But he, so down and out, poor soul, so dogged by fate, said no to snuggling into bed between covers. "No, sir," the man lay down in the entrance hall, on the raw hide of an ox and sheep's fleece, and we threw a blanket over him. So we did. Hearing that, Telemachus strode out through the palace, spear in hand, and a pair of sleek hounds went trotting at his heels. He made for the meeting grounds to join the island lords, while Eurycleia, the daughter of Ops, Pisenor's son, the best of women, gave the maids their orders. "Quick now, look alive, sweep out the house, wet down the floors. You, those purple coverlets, fling them over the fancy chairs. All those tables, sponge them down, scour the wine bowls, burnished cups. The rest, now off you go to spring and fetch some water, fast as your legs can go. Our young gallants won't be long from the palace. They'll be bright and early. Today is a public feast." They hung on her words and to do her bidding. And leaving them to root in the broad courtyard, the swineherd went to Odysseus and hailed him warmly. "Friend, do the suitors show you more respect? Or do they treat you like the dregs of the earth, as always?" "Good Eumaeus," the crafty man replied, "if only the gods would pay back their outrage. Wild and reckless young cubs conniving here in another's house. They've got no sense of shame." And now, as the two confided in each other, the goatherd Melanthius sauntered towards them, herding his goats with a pair of drovers' help, the pick of his flocks to make the suitors' meal. Under the echoing porch, he tethered these, then turned on Odysseus, once again with cutting insults. "Still alive? Still hounding your betters, begging round this house? Why don't you cart yourself away? Get out. We're hardly the only banquet on the island." No reply. The wily one just shook his head, silent, his mind churning with thoughts of bloody work. Third to arrive was Philotius, that good cowherd, prodding in for the crowd a heifer and fat goats. Under the echoing porch, he tethered all heads well and then approached the swineherd, full of questions. "Who's this stranger, Eumaeus, just come to the house? What roots does the man claim? Who are his people? Where are his blood kin, his father's fields? Poor beggar. But what a build! A royal king's. Ah, once the gods weave trouble into our lives. They drive us across the earth. They drown us all in pain, even the kings of the realm." And with that thought, he walked up to Odysseus, gave him his right hand, and winged a greeting. "Cheers, old friend. Old father, here's to your luck. Great days from this day on, saddled now as you are with so much trouble." "I broke into sweat, my friend, when I first saw you. See, my eyes still brim with tears, remembering him. Odysseus. He must wear such rags, I know it, knocking about, drifting through the world if he's still alive and sees the light of day. If he's still alive and sees the light of day. If he's dead already, lost in the house of death, my heart aches for Odysseus, my great lord and master. He set me in charge of his herds in Cephalenian country when I was just a youngster. How they've grown by now, past counting. No mortal on earth could breed a finer stock of oxen. Broad in the brow, they thrive like ears of corn. But just look, these interlopers tell me to drive them in for their own private feasts. Not a thought for the young prince in the house. They never flinch, no regard for the god's wrath. In their mad rush to carve up his goods, my master gone so long, I'm tossed from horn to horn in my own mind. What a traitor I would be, with the prince still alive, if I'd run off to some other country, herds and all, to a new set of strangers. But isn't it worse to hold out here, tending the herd for upstarts, not their owners, suffering all the pains of hell? True, but I still dream of my old master. Unlucky man. If only he'd drop in from the blue and drive these suitors all in a rout throughout these halls. Cowherd, the cool tactician, Odysseus, answered, "You're no coward, and nobody's fool, I'd say. Even I can see there's sense in that old head. So I tell you this on my solemn binding oath. I swear by Zeus, the first of all the gods, by the table of hospitality waiting for us, by Odysseus' hearth where I have come for help. Odysseus will come home while you're still here. You'll see with your own eyes, if you have the heart, these suitors who lord it here, cut down in blood." Stranger, if only, the cowherd cried aloud, if only Zeus would make that oath come true, you'd see my power, my fighting arms in action. Eumaeus echoed his prayer to all the gods that their wise king would soon come home again. Now, as they spoke and urged each other on, once more the suitors were plotting certain doom for the young prince. Suddenly, banking high in the left, an omen flew past, an eagle clutching a trembling dove. And Amphinomus rose in haste to warn them all, "My friends, we'll never carry off this plot to kill the prince. Let's concentrate on feasting." His timely invitation pleased them all. The suitors ambled into Odysseus' royal house, and flinging down their cloaks on a chair or bench, they butchered hulking sheep and fatted goats, full-grown hogs and a young cow from the herd. They roasted all the innards, served them round and filled the bowls with wine and mixed it well. Eumaeus passed out cups. Philœtius, trusty herdsman, brought on loaves of bread on ample wicker trays. Melanthius poured the wine. The whole company reached out for the good things that lay at hand. Telemachus, maneuvering shrewdly, sat his father down on the stone threshold just inside the timbered hall and set a rickety stool and cramped table there. He gave him a share of the innards, poured his wine in a golden cup, and added a bracing invitation. "Now sit right there. Drink your wine with the crowd. I'll defend you from all their taunts and blows, these young bucks. This is no public place. This is Odysseus' house. My father won it for me, so it's mine. You suitors, control yourselves. No insults now. No brawling, no, or it's war between us all." So he declared. And they all bit their lips, amazed that the prince could speak with so much daring. Only Eupeithes' son, Antinous, ventured, "Fighting words! But do let's knuckle under to our prince. Such abuse, such naked threats. But clearly Zeus has foiled us, or long before we would have shut his mouth for him in the halls, fluent and flowing as he is." So he mocked. Telemachus paid no heed. And now through the streets the heralds passed, leading the beasts marked out for sacrifice on Apollo's grand festival day. And the islanders with their long hair were filing into the god's shady grove, the distant deadly archer. Those in the palace, once they'd roasted the prime cuts, pulled them off the spits and sharing out the portions fell to the royal feast. The men who served them gave Odysseus his share, as fair as the helping they received themselves. So Telemachus ordered, king's own son. But Athena had no mind to let the brazen suitors hold back now from their heart-rending insults. She meant to make the anguish cut still deeper into the core of Laertes' son Odysseus. There was one among them, a lawless boor, Ctesippus was his name. He made his home in Same, a fellow so impressed with his own astounding wealth, he courted the wife of Odysseus, gone for years. Now the man harangued his swaggering comrades. "Listen to me, my fine friends. Here's what I say. From the start, our guest has had his fair share. It's only right, you know. How impolite it would be, how wrong to scant whatever guest Telemachus welcomes to his house. Look here, I'll give him a guest gift, too. A prize he can hand the crone who bathes his feet, or a tip for another slave who haunts the halls of our great king Odysseus. On that note, grabbing an ox hoof out of a basket where it lay, with a brawny hand he flung it straight at the king. But Odysseus ducked his head a little, dodging the blow, and seething just as the ox hoof hit the solid wall, he clenched his teeth in a wry, sardonic grin. Telemachus dressed Ctesippus down at once. "Ctesippus! You can thank your lucky stars you missed our guest. He ducked your blow, by God, else I would have planted my sharp spear in your funeral, not your wedding here. Enough! Don't let me see more offenses in my house, not from anyone. I am alive to it all now, the good and the bad. The boy you knew is gone. But I still must bear with this lovely sight. Sheep flocks butchered, wine swilled, food squandered. How can a man fight off so many single-handed? But no more of your crimes against me, please, unless you're bent on cutting me down now, and I'd rather die. Yes. Better that by far than have to look at your outrage day by day. Guests treated to blows, men dragging the serving women through our noble house, exploiting them all. No shame. Dead quiet. The suitors all fell silent, hushed. At last, Damastor's son, Agelaus, rose and said, "Fair enough. My friends, when a man speaks well, we have no grounds for wrangling, no cause for abuse. Hands off this stranger, or any other servant in King Odysseus' palace. But now, a word of friendly advice for Telemachus and his mother. Here's hoping it proves congenial to them both. So long as your hearts still kept a spark alive that Odysseus would return, that great, deep man, who could blame you? Playing the waiting game at home and holding off the suitors. The better course, it's true. What if Odysseus had returned? He had made it home at last. But now, it's clear as day. The man will not come home. So go, Telemachus. Sit with your mother. Coax her to wed the best man here. The one who offers most. So you can have and hold your father's estate, eating and drinking here, your mind at peace, while your mother plays the wife in another's house." The young prince, keeping his poise, replied, "I swear by Zeus, Agelaus, by all my father has suffered, dead no doubt, or wandering from Ithaca these days. I don't delay my mother's marriage, not a moment. I press her to wed the man who takes her heart. I'll shower her myself with boundless gifts. But I shrink from driving my mother from our house, issuing harsh commands against her will. God forbid it ever comes to that." So he vowed, and Athena set off uncontrollable laughter in the suitors, crazed them out of their minds. Mad, hysterical laughter seemed to break from the jaws of strangers, not their own, and the meat they were eating oozed red with blood. Tears flooded their eyes, hearts possessed by grief. The inspired seer, Theoclymenus, wailed out in their midst, "Poor men! What terror is this that overwhelms you so? Night shrouds your heads, your faces down to your knees. Cries of mourning are bursting into fire, cheeks rivering tears. The walls and the handsome crossbeams dripping dank with blood. Ghosts! Look! Thronging the entrance, thronging the court, go trooping down to the world of death and darkness. The sun is blotted out of the sky. Look there! A lethal mist spreads all across the earth." At that, they all broke into peals of laughter. Polybus' son, Eurymachus, braying first and foremost, Our guest just in from abroad. This man is raving. Quick, my boys, hustle him out of the house, into the meeting grounds, the light of day. Everything here he thinks is dark, is nice. Eurymachus, the inspired prophet countered, when I want your escort, I'll ask for it myself. I have eyes and ears, and both my feet still, and a head that's as fairly sound, nothing to be ashamed of. These will do to take me past these doors. Oh, I can see it now. The disaster closing on you all. No escaping it, no way out, not for a single one of you suitors. Wild, reckless fools, plotting outrage here. The halls of Odysseus, great and strong as a god. With that, he marched out of the sturdy house and went home to Piraeus, the host who warmed him in. Now all the suitors, trading their snide glances, started heckling Telemachus, making a mockery of his guests. One or another brash young gallant scoffed, Telemachus, no one's more unlucky with his guests. Look what your man dragged in, this mangy tramp, scraping for bread and wine, not fit for a day's hard work, bag of bones, a useless dead weight on the land. And then this charlatan ups and apes the prophet. Take it from me, you'll be better off by far. Toss your friends in a slave ship to Sicily fast. They'll fetch you one sweet price. So they jeered, but the prince paid no attention. Silent, eyes riveted on his father, always waiting for the moment he'd lay his hands on that outrageous mob. And all the while, Icarius' daughter, wise Penelope, had placed her carved chair within earshot at the door so she could catch each word they uttered in the hall. Laughing rowdily, men prepared their noonday meal, succulent, rich. They'd butchered quite a herd. But as for supper, what could be less enticing than what a goddess and a powerful man would spread before them soon? A groaning feast, for they'd been first to plot their vicious crimes.